One unanswered message can ruin your entire day. Your mind is so focused to get that one response that you can't concentrate on anything else. The movie industry uses the same principle with cliffhangers and open endings to keep you hooked and mentally engaged. It's called the Zeigarnik effect, and you too can use it to never procrastinate again. The Zeigarnik effect states that unfinished tasks stay longer and more present in your brain. That's because the brain hates tension and craves closure. When you now start something and don't finish it, you create tension and don't get closure. Your brain will try everything to finally find that closure, draining so much of your mental energy that you can't concentrate on anything else. Making your brain obsess over unfinished things, just like an open ending in a movie that you can't stop thinking about. So always have an open task. Don't finish with milestones. Finish in the middle of the work. That way it's way easier to go back to it since your mind was already thinking about it the whole time. You can't even procrastinate because the unfinished task is always in the back of your mind. This way you force yourself to actually do the things you should do, because that's the only way your brain gets relief from the tension and finally reaches that long-awaited closure. The reason people always hurt and disappoint you is because you don't really know a single person. Not your best friend, not your partner, not even your parents. You think you do, but what you know is a projection your brain has fabricated, and that projection is heavily biased and will always disappoint you. You never see someone in every moment, every situation, or know the full depth of their thoughts. At best, we grasp about 50% of who someone really is, but our brain struggles with incomplete information, so it starts filling in the gaps on its own, creating an image that feels whole and right, but is completely shaped by our own biases, assumptions, and wishes, and it is exactly this half that will always disappoint you. If we like a person, we can't admit that they have flaws. That's why we ignore negative traits and project positive ones they don't even have. We create a version of them that is far better than reality. What inevitably happens is that the real person acts differently, worse than your projection, and whenever reality undeniably doesn't match with your expectations, you feel disappointed, but it is never the person's fault, it is your own. The person acts just as they are, your projection was simply wrong. Knowing this, which traits can you think of that you constantly project onto others? You call yourself a good person, but in reality you just hide your dark parts so well no one can see them. The rage, the envy, the ego, the lust for control. You locked them away and started calling yourself good, but the more you suppress them, the louder they scream. And eventually, they will take control. Carl Jung called this the shadow, everything your conscious mind refuses to see, the traits you suppress to be loved, accepted, and rewarded. But what you exile doesn't vanish, it becomes autonomous. Over time it will leak into your life through passive aggression, addictions, even self-sabotage. Every time you get emotional, your suppressed shadow is coming to the surface. And you can't have peace or pursue goals while fighting yourself, because all the energy you spend suppressing your darkness is energy you don't have for your dreams. That's why you're exhausted, not from life, but from the war inside of you. So, study your darkest thoughts and trace your shadow to the roots. Once you can name its parts, integrate them into your character, channel them where it uses you, use your aggression in sport, your dominance in business, and your vanity in art. Because only when you stop rejecting parts of yourself, can you finally act as one, and only unified minds can evolve.